from a liquidity standpoint, most things are yet to materialize, but one of them is OfBusiness. I think it was pure serendipity. Ashish is a classmate, and Ruchi and I worked together in McKinsey, so I've known them for a long while. And I knew they were starting out. I got busy, so I didn't fully track what they were doing. And then I heard that they were raising money and etc. So I just called Ashish and said, "What the hell? You haven't taken money from me." He said, "Acha, look, I'm closing. If you can wire in the next like 24, 48 hours, I should be able to do it." And I just wired. I had no idea what he was building. It literally happened like that.
Today we had Rohit Kapoor on the pod. Rohit is the CEO of Swiggy, where he handles food marketplace. He's also an amazing angel investor. He's invested in companies like OfBusiness, which is currently valued at $6 billion, Mosaic, Mokobara, and about 40 others. In this conversation, we covered topics like what drove him into angel investing, his investing process, how does he evaluate founders, what sectors and stages he invests in, his investing philosophy, biggest learnings from over 40 angel investments he's made so far, his big wins and big misses, who is he outside of work, what's his relationship with health, and much more. Now I bring you Rohit Kapoor. Rohit, I'm excited to have you on the pod. Welcome.
Thank you, Shiva. Excited to be here. Look forward to the conversation.
Likewise. Rohit, we'll dive right into it. What drove you into angel investing? And do you remember your first angel investment and the story behind it?
Yeah, I think so. What drove me into angel investing? Two things. One is I had a little bit of money to risk. I think that's the first thing, and that happened a few years back, where I felt that if this money doesn't come back to me, I can still take that bit of risk. Second is I think a bunch of people I knew and I had a lot of faith on as individuals. They started, quitting jobs and starting up. And it started like that. It started with one or two people who were well known to me. They were taking the entrepreneurial plunge. And I kind of like really liked those people. And I said, look, if you're starting, I don't know this angel investing too much, but happy to sort of cut a small check and see where it goes. So two simple things actually. But then I learned very different things along the way. But this is how it started.
Yeah. So one, you had the capital, you liked the asset class, and secondly, it was pretty natural. A lot of your friends were starting up, and you wanted to back them. Rohit, do you remember your first angel investment and the story behind it?
Yeah, I think my first angel investment was I don't remember which was the first one. I can tell you the first two. They happened very close to each other, so don't remember which one came first. Uh, one was a co-living startup named Coho, right, run by Uday Lakkad, IMA alumni, one of the most tenacious people I know. And I think during COVID, of course, it went through its own ups and downs. I really liked Uday's. So that's where I went in and cut the first check. And I also got very glowing endorsements from people who knew Uday. Second one was Akiva. This was a D2C startup from Shalab. Shalab and I had worked together for a brief period of time. He's also ex-McKinsey. So knew him from back then. So these were the two early ones. Both were very people-led decisions. I did not have necessarily any idea of D2C at that point in time, or any particular clarity on co-living being a very hot sector. But I really like the two people I put the money behind.
So Rohit, your first two investments were mostly driven by, it was people-led. You just believed in these two individuals. But over time, I think you've made over 60 investments. Few parts to this
Little less than that, but in the range, 40 plus. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Got it. 40 plus. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of learnings to unpack here. But before that, what's your investing process like? What do you look for when investing in a startup? What kind of check sizes do you put in? And are there any sectors that you're most excited about?
So, Shiva, if you allow me, I think I like to at least share what is my philosophy on angel investing first. And this is developed over time. This is not what I started with, because a lot of people ask the question saying, "Hey, I want to start. Should I?" Right? And let me just start there and link it back to your question. I do feel over time there are few things which are clear realizations, right? One is, this is one of the most riskiest asset classes. So there is I don't think people should fall for the glamour and the glitz of angel investing and get carried away, right? This is truly money that you feel if none of it comes back, you'll be a little sad, of course. Nobody likes losing money, but it'll not matter materially to you. At least my philosophy, right? Um, Second is, it is a portfolio game. I don't think angel investors have any ability to pick winners, right? I think that's a post facto outcome where you just lucked upon a situation which made you some money, right? So if you're not going to invest in, let's say, 40, 50, 100 startups, right, over a decade, let's say, right, and not in like 1 or 2 years, because you may got caught in a bull cycle or a bear cycle and feel very differently about it. If you're not going to invest in that many number of companies over a 10-year period and do not have the commitment, don't go for it. Investing in 2 or 3 companies is actually a very bad idea, right? Because you may feel good about it at that point, but again, looking at probabilities, chances are you'll lose more than you'll win, right? Third is, again, keep check sizes commensurate to your appetite to lose, right? And so my simple philosophy is I go in with a simple check size if it's a first time founder, right? Seed stage. Um Maybe a little bigger if it's a second time founder, right? And sometimes top up in situations which are clearly going very well, right? Because some money left for that is quite helpful. And not I don't think series B, series C makes sense, but let's say from pre seed to seed, or seed to maybe series A, uh, does make sense in a few situations, right? So summarizing, if you're not in it for 10 years, if you are not looking to do 80 to 100 companies over that period, whether through you do individually or through a fund is a choice. I don't think that's an issue. uh, and you don't last thing, you should have the this is a very different asset class. In most asset classes, some money comes back, right? Like even equities, you may buy at 100 and you may sell at 40, but you still recover 40, right? This is a 0-1 outcome most likely, right? Either something happens and you get large outcomes, or middling outcomes and some money comes back, or nothing comes back, right? Right. So a lot of people are not comfortable with losing capital fully, and it doesn't make them sleep well at night, even if they have the money, right? Not for at sleep at night is important, and every individual is different. So that that clarity should be there. Coming to my principles on how I choose now, uh, very founder led and team led, right? With one check that the team is not trying to do um, multiple somersaults in a tough market, right? So TAM market normally wins, and in big markets, attractive markets, even average founders do well. The great founders do very well, right? But the great founders don't do even that well in tough markets. There are exceptions, but they don't prove the rule, right? Um, so that's one. But still very founder led. Within, let's say, if the TAM is okay, if the market is attractive, uh, founder and team is almost. Many times I've invested, I don't even know what the business is fully. Like I have a vague idea they're trying to build something, because the second I realization is anyway pivot 20 times before it becomes sizable. So what's the point in micro understanding the business at the point of start, right? It will pivot. Every company which is becoming great over time is not the same company, it's the same sector where they started with, or at least the same business model, even if it's the same sector, right? Second is, I have a clear valuation check. If it's pre-seed, pre-revenue, more than $5 to $7 million of valuation, I just don't understand. I'm not saying right or wrong. Like people have the right to ask whatever they think that they're worth, right? I don't understand. I don't invest, even if it's the hottest sector, right? So just to give an example, I have zero investments in crypto, and it was not some foresight which I had. It was I didn't understand crypto very well. That's just an honest admission. No shame there. It's too complicated for me to understand. I like simple things. Uh, but it was not because of that. I had FOMO because everybody around me was like saying, "Oh, this is going to be like
Your
it."
kids
None
were
of the
talking about crypto.
sorry,
Your kids were also talking about crypto.
no, not my kids, but yeah, many people around me, right? At least not thankfully my kids, uh, but the only reason it didn't happen was because nothing came in my evaluation range. And so for me, that decision was very straightforward, right? The exception I make is if the valuation is higher and already at a pre-seed stage or seed stage, some serious venture capital fund is already coming in and putting the check. So if it's a co-invest, maybe yes, I'll break the ceiling, but 9 or 10 times that's the threshold. And third is I limit check size at the beginning because not because I don't believe in the founder, because I believe in the theory that this for me to have a decent outcome in this asset class, I need those 100 investments, right, over a period of time, and they won't happen if I put in large checks in companies I'm super excited about. So yeah, that's a little bit of a
Got it.
very financial side of the equation. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great framework to have. Really, the core focus in the beginning is the team, and then the market, and then you're pretty clear about your check sizes. The valuation helps you with all the FOMO that happened at crypto, and Rohit, typically, when you're angel investing, I think a lot of it is about evaluating the founders. And, you'll get to, and you're a, operator yourself, you're pretty busy with your own company. You don't get that much time to really spend with them and really evaluate them. But, like, what are a few things that you look at when evaluating founders?
Sure, few, I'll say, let's say 30-40% are people I've known from the past, right? So that's easy. You've just known them for such a long time that you know what they stand for, what their potential is. Right? Uh, I think the balance is uh, first, 1 degree of separation, strong references. I don't evaluate founders. I don't think I can, right? What will I do, right? Like I have a conversation, like anybody who's founding a company will be good at a conversation, right? So that's hardly going to be, and I don't have any great frameworks to understand a person fully in 1 hour's time and half an hour's time. Some people have that. I don't have it. Yeah. So I look for strong endorsements from people with whom I have trusted relationships over like decades, right, or several years. And if one of them whose judgment I trust says that meet this person, I can tell you she's terrific, right? And then after you meet and you have the right vibe,
Yeah,
that's about it. I don't think it's any more complicated than that.
got it. And Rohit, we'll talk about your
But
portfolio.
almost always without a solid reference, mine or 1 degree, it's hard.
And then probably later on, it comes down to, do you really believe in the market? Is it going to scale, and few other things? And then you end up really making the bet. And yeah, Rohit, would love to, hear about some of your big wins, some, the story behind them, and also the big misses, meaning you had the chance to invest in those companies and they ended up doing really good. And what were the learnings from that?
I think so. The big win. I think from a liquidity standpoint, most things are yet to materialize. But one of them is off business, right? And I think it was pure serendipity. Ashish is a classmate, and Ruchi and I worked together in McKinsey, so I've known them for a long while. And I knew they were starting up. I got busy, so I didn't fully track what they were doing. And then I heard that they were raising money and etc. So I just called Ashish and said, "What the hell? You haven't taken money from me." He said, "Acha, look, I'm closing. If you can wire in the next like 24, 48 hours, something like that," he said. I should be able to do it. And I just wired. I had no idea what he was building. It literally happened like that. Second was, I think Mosaic guys are doing very well. This is Dhyanesh and Revant. Dhyanesh, I worked with in again McKinsey days. Clearly believed in. I used to tell him in even McKinsey saying, you're from a family business. Your entire family is in business. I don't know why you're wasting your time here. Kya kar raha hai tu? You have business in your genes. You should start. Um, and he finally did, and I think they're doing a fabulous job there. There's several others which are in like Mokobara is one where there's a popular sort of memes right now in Bangalore saying if you're in the startup world, you must have a Mokobara and Onitsuga Tiger, right? Shoes, something like that, right? So Sangeet again is somebody who's I think building. Forget about the valuation and all, but you whenever I see consumer love happen, I know the company will go somewhere, right? So my test about Mokobara is I don't even know how much revenues they're doing at this point in time, but I see so many Mokobaras at airports and in offices, and that I know that consumer love is happening, right? And people are talking about it. So that's I can go on. There'll be like 10 companies which are there, which are very very promising. But there's a long journey from promise to revenues to profits to IPO. So, but yeah, I think I've been lucky to. But the thing which has worked for me is relationships, not my investing acumen. I don't have much actually. I can make fairly bad calls sometimes, but relationships I have plenty, and I say yes to people more often than no. If I whether to meet, whether to discuss something, whether to shoot the breeze, if they need help, if I need help, and those relationships sort of have led to the having the ability to come into most situations where they look like promising ones. Of the misses, and Bombay Shaving is one, and Bombay Shaving and Shantanu is a great friend. We are we're in touch very often. And I just didn't believe in the razor idea. I believed in the men's grooming idea, and that is the one learning I had from that episode. This was early days for me as well. That it didn't matter. I should have bet on the founder, and not because that time I was trying to be very analytical about the what he's trying to do. Is there a market, you know? And forgot and didn't learn enough by then that this things will pivot like 15 times, and be very different from what their starting point is. That was one. I think Blue Smart was one. Blue Smart, I think, came as a cold email, and I looked at it, and I was intrigued, but I just got busy and forgot. And next time I read like there's some raise some a lot of money. I use Blue Smart daily. I just love the service, and again I can see consumer love happening. Um, so those two, the second one maybe Puneet and all won't remember even writing to me. They must have written to a bunch of people. But I do remember on LinkedIn getting an inbox email saying this is a very exciting company. Why don't you go for it? These two, are there any other big ones? No, there are some where I know I could have called that founder and put in the check, but I just didn't. I was busy, didn't find the time, uh, or didn't happen. So those are not proposals or anything, but I knew I had the ability to call and just say, "यार, कुछ पैसे मेरे से ले लो, it won't hurt you." So there are several like that, and they've all gone to become. Some of them have gone to become very very valuable companies. Yeah, I think that's the sort of hits and misses anti-portfolio as
We
they
have a
come.
solution for the last one you talked about. Next time you don't have time, you just ping Shiva, and
Okay.
I'll ping them,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'll get in as well.
yeah, yeah. I do have
We'll
those.
do it together.
I do have those situations where I really like someone, but I say, "अच्छा अगले हफ्ते मिलते हैं, देखते हैं." That doesn't happen. Yeah.
And Rohit, you picked up a very important point, which is, a lot of the success in angel investing has come from the relationship that you've built. And you talked about a few things where, you say yes more than no, and you try to be as helpful as possible to others. And Rohit, let's say if someone is just starting out, about to graduate, from college, how should one think about relationship building? I like this one quote, move from deal friends to real friends as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's a tough one because a lot of people ask the question on networking and how should we think about. Look, at the end of the day, there's a book by I don't remember who the author was. It was called Give and Take. A very well written book in the sense it's very practical. It is not preachy. And it said that being relationships begin with giving. And most young people when they're out, they don't know. They think sometimes that I have nothing to give. but everyone has something to give. So, for example, if I'm just making this up, let's say Shiva, somebody sees your Instagram post. Now, you may be busy, you may not have time to think about it. Could you make it better? And just imagine a college kid just takes that post, does it much better, which they're very smart at doing, sends it back to you. It may have taken like 15 minutes because they anyway are good at a lot of this stuff, right? And you'll say, wow, this kid is special. Let me speak to him, right? So a lot of people write in saying, I have this cool idea. Honestly, while I want to respond to each one, it's physically impossible. Because I think anytime I have to reply to that cool email versus spend time with my daughter, that's an easy trade off. I will spend time with my daughter. But if there's intriguing stuff you've done and you're telling me about it, people like interesting people. Being interesting is a phenomenal advantage, which doesn't mean being weird, because people take it to the extreme and say, I must be weird to be interesting, right? It means like exactly what I told you about, right? An example, right? There's a million ways you could interesting. Tell me about. If you think you're going to do clean tech, for example, rather than say it's 100 billion opportunity, 1 trillion market, those things I know. I don't even know that 1 trillion number is correct or not, but I don't care, right? It's large enough. That's all. It's good, and you don't need to sort of prove that thesis. But what is the problem? What have you done at a small scale? Have you done something about it? Have you learned something? Can you share that learning? Why you think it's an advantage? So I invested in a young guy out of Noida. Uh, we put a very small check. I think he's still trying to figure out the funding. But he came to me with the problem of house helps in India, right? Which, by the way, is a 15-20 billion dollar market. And it's a tough market. Everyone avoids it in an organized scale because it has got its own vagaries of managing, huge workforces, etc. But his insight on the problems of house helps and why there's lack of stability were just phenomenal. The guy had spent tons of time with those people, living their lives, understanding their problem, had three ideas. Even if when I knew this is a very, very tough market to nail, not from a size standpoint, but just from a complexity and profitability standpoint, we still went ahead and put a small check to allow him to, uh, run for 3-4 months and see where he can take it. But just happened purely because of how good he was in explaining his own learnings and what happened when he sort of went deep into the subject. At least you need to be at that level to be able to hope to raise money. Else, just writing in doesn't help. So be interesting. Offer help in small things. Just do it for somebody and send it across, right? And share your work rather than your words is the three things I'll say.
Yeah, yeah. Be resourceful, be interesting, and then show proof of work. Uh, Amazing points here, Rohit. With this, my co-pilot has been bugging me, and he's actually asking what's the lady's name in the back.
Your co-pilot, the painting in the background.
He's asking, yeah.
Okay, okay. No, so this this painting is actually done by a very young painter, Manoj. He works in a company and at night and spare time makes paintings. So this is actually his, I think, his representation uh, of how he felt Alia Bhatt looked in the movie Gully Boy, right? Young chap does very good stuff. Uh, I buy a few paintings from him once in a while. Yeah.
Got it.
Anybody hearing this podcast and wants his number, I'll be happy to share. He's a young lad who can do with support. Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll put it on the in the notes. And Rohit, what's your day like? A typical day.
Typical day. Get up at 5:30, 5, clear emails, get uh, get into the kitchen sometimes, make breakfast for Nana because she leaves by 7 on a school day, or support my wife if she's making the breakfast. There are two things to be done, like help her get ready and make breakfast. So either we split either ways. Uh, and then pretty much get into calls by 8:30. I tend to like walk and do a lot of my calls, so that's my only exercise I get. I walk a lot, so I have these headphones, and wherever I am, I'm rarely on my desk. I just keep walking and taking those calls. Typical day, if I am not in the field, will mean pretty much back to back meetings, calls, from 9 till 8. But what I do often is, because my daughter plays golf, and if I'm in Delhi, I keep 4:30 to 5 free. I drive her to the golf club, and they're a pretty cool place to just work. And because there's lots of spaces, you can just sit down and do your stuff. Then I'll do my meetings or calls there from like 5 to 9. And she finishes at 9. I pick her back up and get back home. I eat quite early, so anyway, dinner is done by wherever I am by maximum 7 o'clock, largely. If there are occasions where I'm out, then it'll be late. So that's one type of day. The other type of day is when I'm in the field, where if I'm visiting field markets, I cut out all calls, because the last thing you want is you're in a city visiting teams, partners, uh, you know, delivery partners, restaurant partners, and you have this backup of calls going on. So those are interesting, most interesting, because I'll go and I never call them to office, right? Very rarely, right? So I'll always go to the establishment, move around with the teams, be there full day with them. I s- I I carry a book always with me, so I'll keep reading. Right now, I'm reading Tiger Woods, and I always have this fully the 2 3 battery backups always there, so that when I'm so used to doing this that I can pretty much set up an office uh, anywhere. I've worked out of like you'll find me sometimes sitting in a cafe coffee day, because there was a traffic jam, and it's better to be in a cafe coffee day or a barista and just do your work than sit in a car. Uh, I genuinely can work from anywhere.
Yeah, very interesting, Rohit. I'm curious. We know you, as an operator, currently being a CEO at Swiggy, food delivery business, and probably others. What do your friends know you for? Who are you outside of work?
Uh, Friends know me for I don't know. I think one is for stories. I have a lot of stories to share. Right. I think that's just age also. Right. You collect stories as you go along. And I'm uh, this they tell me I can relate stories reasonably well. So that's one. Second is uh, I'm always sort of uh, I'm the person they want to be when I am them with them. I'm not the CEO of Swiggy or anybody like that, right? I'm if I'm back with my school friends, I'm exactly the boy who passed out with them like 25 years back. And if I'm in college, I'm a bit like that. So I think they people tell me that it feels that we're just continuing from where we were 20 years back, 15 years back, 10 years back. Um, and I don't think that anybody feels that distance. Uh, and even if after meet for 2 years, they'll feel the instant connection. Plus, I have many interests. I travel. I do photography. I'm a pet lover. Yeah, I'm exposure to multiple things. I'm not particularly good at any one thing.
Hmm. And Rohit, what's your relationship with health?
Fragile. No, no. I think God's blessing that everything been okay always. Um, I think I walk a lot, right? That's the only thing I do. I always want to do a lot more, but then I realize that, given my job and other things, I may aspire to do X, Y, Z, W, but let me do what I can rather than sort of wait. So I log in my 10 12,000 steps while doing calls, right? Because I know I can't find that extra 2 hour every day to just do it standalone, right? It's not the best, because I think um, you probably, if you're able to find that hour and a half, you're better off. I'm very uh, disciplined with food, which doesn't mean that I'm vegetarian. I eat a lot, practically everything, and I don't avoid like even the chula bhatura or anything. But I never remember myself overeating, right? So portion control has been strong since my McKinsey days, because that time, you're eating like 3 meals a day outside home for years, and the only thing which I figured out was portion control. And I think I'm, but at a point where none of this is going to be good enough, right? I do need to focus a lot more, for example, on weight training, more cardio. Uh, Eating is still okay. I don't think eating is a major issue. I don't smoke, so there's uh, completely avoid that. So there's nothing there. And the one thing I forgot is apart from this is weekends and when my daughter is playing golf internationally, I'm the caddy, right? So caddying and carrying the bag, or even for 18 holes is typically, and especially if it's a slopey course, right, with a high slope rating, you log in pretty much like 12 to 16,000 steps, and that's pretty intense. So that's while you, even if you're not playing, that's fitness.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
I'm not over obsessed about it,
Yeah.
but I don't ignore it. So if my weight swings even by 2 kgs, I'll have my uh, regimen kick in to put it back where it was, and that's been
Yeah.
the same for the last 15 years. I remember.
Yeah. You've been keeping a good balance. Could be one trick. I'm sure you probably are thinking about it, Rohit. Uh, just hire a trainer for
Mm,
weightlifting and just start with and I'm saying it and I mean it. Just start with 15 minutes.
got it.
And
Got it.
it's just removing the friction, and you're also accountable because you'll just feel guilty telling your trainer, hey, I can't make it to the gym. Rohit, if you could invite three guests, dead or alive, could be anyone, to the dinner, who would they be and why?
Ah, I think one is Vajpayee. Uh, I just loved his play with words, right? And I think how languid he was in his communication while holding the arguably the busiest job in the country, right? So one is definitely Vajpayee. Um, and I think there's also a very in his times and whatever I read about him, very interesting mix of relationships without being forced across party lines and across groups. Um, the the second I will say is um, is probably Tendulkar, right? Um, Reason being, I like to dig into his mind to understand how does a 16-year-old carry the weight of nation so effortlessly. Like, it's incredible. And when he started when he was 16, I remember that over with Abdul Qadir, where he went and smashed him for three or four sixes, right, in Pakistan, and became this instant sort of this boy who was emerged on the scene. Wasn't much talent in the Indian batting. The depth wasn't there, right? And for years before, I think Saurabh Ganguly and Dravid came in, which was pretty late. I think he made his debut 96 or 97, and they made the debut 2005. So for 7 odd years, there was just him, Azharuddin, and a couple of others maybe. Um, how did he do that? Like to understand that period of 16 to 24. Um, and third is, I think, from recent times, I will say Shah Rukh Khan. Uh, I think Shah Rukh Khan has this amazing ability to say outrageous things with full modesty, right? Uh, which is endearing. So he'll say something which others, if they say it, they will get trolled and they'll say, "Oh, how arrogant this person is." But he says that with such charm, such modest. It almost sounds modest. It sounds effortlessly who he is, right? And that's such a amazing brand he has created over the years. Where if there is one intergenerational actor today, uh, which my wife also loves and my daughter also likes, uh, I think it is Shah Rukh Khan, right? And that's phenomenal. It's incredibly hard to be that person.
That's such a fun and dream combination. Sports, politics, and entertainment, and all of them has just
The most
their
interesting
own.
people are out there, no? In those
Yeah,
areas.
yeah, yeah, and that's a good definition. Be interesting. People would love to build a relationship with you, Rohit. Thank you so much. I had so much fun doing this with you. Really appreciate for making the time.
Thank you, Shiva. Thank you for having me over. Great fun. Thank you. And all the best for this amazing podcast that you're running. Thank you.